Okay. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Benvenuto, Chair of the San Diego Housing Commission Board of Commissioners. It is 9:04 on March 5th, 2021, and I'm calling to order the special meeting of the board. The process we're using for today's meeting is authorized by Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N2920, which he issued on March 17th, 2020 to address the COVID-19 public health emergency. The meeting is occurring by video conference with all board members, our President and CEO, Housing Commission staff, and General Counsel participating by video. For the record, I'll ask each board member to indicate their presence as I say their name. Vice Chair Ryan Kleppner.
Here.
Commissioner Dion Akers.
Here.
Commissioner Maggie Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Johanna Hester.
Here.
Commissioner Keely Hubbard.
Here.
And Commissioner Mitch Mitchell. Okay, no members of the public are in attendance. However, members of the public may watch the video conference and hear the audio of today's meeting, which is being streamed live online. The agenda for today's meeting included a link to the website for the commission of where the public can access the live streaming for today's meeting. The public has also been provided with an alternative opportunity to provide comments to the board through an online comment form. A link to this form is also included on the agenda for today's meeting, which was posted on our website, sdhc.org, on Thursday, February 25th, 2021. The agenda and the public comment form explain that comments about items on the agenda will be read into the record if they were submitted by 4 p.m. yesterday, March 4th, 2021. In addition, non-agenda public comments submitted by 8 o'clock this morning will be read into the record. But there were no non-agenda public comments submitted for today's meeting, so we won't have that. I'll ask any commissioners if they have any comments to make them now. Commissioners, floor is open.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a few comments if no one else wants to jump in.
Take it away, Commissioner Akers.
I want to thank staff for I was able to tour the convention center site yesterday. It had been on my to-do list for a long time, and I want to thank Lisa Jones and her team for welcoming and giving me the rundown on how that operation looked from the inside. I mean this in the best possible way. It was much less exciting than I maybe anticipated, and I was really glad to see so many folks working in collaboration and conjunction with one another. It was a very well oiled machine, like I said, with not a ton of excitement or drama, and really everyone that was there, Father Joe's, Housing Commission staff, Convention Center staff, everyone seemed to really be doing a lot of great work together. And I was glad to see so much of the planning that had taken place over the last 11 months and how that's been followed up. And how many folks have been involved in executing so many wonderful elements of that silver lining. And that's what I've been really looking for, a lot of those silver linings this last year. I particularly wanted to make a call out for Deanna Villanueva, who I got a chance to talk to for a good long time. Something that I've been kind of following or try to keep my ear on is our VASH vouchers, and I'd heard kind of throughout the past year or so that maybe we had some of those that was a program that was being underutilized in San Diego. And in talking with Deanna yesterday, she informed me that we have made tremendous progress in assisting veterans through the convention center site. To walk a fine line, I would say that this has been a great opportunity for the Housing Commission and for the region to do great work that probably wasn't anticipated back in February of last year. And part of that great work is telling the story of how we have done that work and what we've been able to accomplish as a team. And then, but I also want to say that it's a good reminder that we can and should be setting lofty and ambitious goals that we can and should be tracking and following up on. Just kind of hinting at some of the conversations we had in our last meeting. Again, thanks for staff doing great work, and I'm glad to be a part of this group.
Well said. Calling out some of the commission rockstar staff too. Thank you. Are there any other commissioner comments? Okay, then we'll move on to the report from our president and CEO, Mr. Gentry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Dion, thank you in particular. You just set me up nicely. That was a high-hanging curveball, and I've got some things to knock out of the park on it, what we've done since the last board meeting. Also, before that, let me just respond to your comments on staff. We've got the best bunch I've ever worked with in my career, and I've been around a long time. We got good people top to bottom. And I think that the way we've responded to both to the COVID issue over the last year shows that. And, we were talking just prior to some of the rest of you getting on the line about where we were when we learned that the basketball tournament was canceled last year. It was on March 12th. And that's when we all knew that this thing was serious. And what staff have done with this agency since then, it's just been remarkable. Something like 88% of the staff are working remotely. The 12% being essential people we need on site. And we've not missed a beat. And that's because we got some first-class folks here. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, Dion. I really do appreciate it. And Madam Chair, I've got a handful of short reports I'd like to give as follow-ups to previous items. The first is a follow-up to the last board meeting, where you all recommended that the City Council approve the COVID-19 Housing Assistance Stability Program, which is money that's kind of came from the appropriations bill that came out of the Congress back in December. And I want to give you an update this morning on some work we've been doing just in the last 2 weeks since you took your action to get ready for that program. The application form itself right now is being tested. Some of you heard Beto and I talking about that a few minutes ago. And that will launch on March the 15th. We have hired, since the last board meeting, 115 new staff specifically for this program. These are short-term staff. They will be trained in 2 groups, and the training started on Tuesday of this week. 211 San Diego has already started providing customer service through the designated phone number for the program. I'm going to repeat the phone number here for anybody listening. And that's the 211 number, 619-535-6921. The Housing Commission has also contracted with 8 community-based organizations to help residents with their applications. And we anticipate adding another 3 organizations very soon that will join this effort. You will recall that our website also included a page where residents can sign up to be notified when the application is available on the 15th. Right now, today, we have more than 6,700 city residents who have signed up so far. That just in the 4 weeks that's been on our website. That number will continue to grow next week during the final week before the application proper launches. And our extensive outreach campaign is well underway. We developed an outreach kit that we have shared with the offices of the mayor and city council members, community-based organizations, and labor organizations to help raise awareness of the program. And Madam Chair, with your okay, I'd like to ask Commissioner Hester and Johanna, if you would please, to talk about your involvement from a union outreach standpoint and some of the connections we're making there, if you would please, ma'am.
No, absolutely. I've been working with Molly Chase, our director of policy, I guess. She's a new member of Jeff's team, I imagine. I also want to thank Jeff for all the work that he's done, but connecting, I think getting this out to the population where is most impacted by housing need is critical to me. I represent home care providers and child care providers in the county of San Diego. And so the information that we are getting relief for both rent and utility is so critical to our members. So we are sending UDW alone, the United Domestic Workers, AFSCME Local 3930, are sending a text blast to our members along with an email blast to get, we represent some 30,000 home care providers and some 5,000 child care providers in the county. So getting that information to them. Along with that, Rick, and commissioners, I connected Molly with the interfaith community and the immigrant community with the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium, who does work with immigrants and refugees. Those are critical communities that's greatly impacted by rent and utility needs. So, and with the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community as well. So I'm really hoping that we can get this information out to our communities who greatly needs it. And that's not enough work. That's not enough work. I'm sorry, and I forgot to mention connecting Molly with the San Diego Central Labor Councils, who represent about 130 labor unions, totaling representation of 100,000 working families who, impacted again, just if you look at the airports workers, right, the TSAs, the hotel workers, like Commissioner Mitchell mentioned last meeting, the janitors union, UFCW with the grocery workers, the building trades with the construction slowing down. Many union members are in need of this assistance. So just getting it to everyone is critical. So I hope I made a small dent in getting this information out.
Ma'am, is more than a small dent. I mean, that's the kind of outreach that we need to get to folks. That's going the extra mile, and we very, very much appreciate it. I'll point out that this outreach kit itself includes the program logo, social media posts, and informational flyers about the program, and contact information for anyone who wants to check in with us. I'll point out that this week we also emailed a link of the outreach kit to more than 500 organizations, including social service providers, healthcare providers, educational institutions, and places of worship. We've asked them to share the information with their customers. We also provided an insert for the city's public utilities department to include in the bills that they are mailing to about 155,000 of their customers. And I'll point out this insert provides program information in both English and Spanish. And I see Commissioner Mitchell there. Mitch, I might ask you if you would please, sir, also talk a bit about the meeting that you pulled together late last week and the outreach efforts that you're doing on behalf of this program too, sir.
When Joanna, she and I, it's funny, Sandra Williams and I had a conversation, and we talked about, the same aspects that Commissioner Hester talked about. Is we have to make sure that the labor folks know. But what I told Molly and Jeff is that this is going to be a community collaborative. In order for us to be successful, we have to get this word out far and wide, and we have to have a variety of vehicles. That there's no stone left unturned. And so I made personal calls to a bunch of people that normally when they see me call, they know at this time that there's always something up when I have that sound of my voice. But they were all gracious. I think everybody agreed that it is important that we be successful at this. And so we had a meeting with Molly and Jeff, and we had Cox Communications, and we had labor. Sandra was there. I'm on the food bank for the Labor Council. Sandra was there. We had MTS. Brought in Scripps Hospital. Amber is helping connect us to all the community clinics, as well as we'll be trying to partnering with Scripps and Sharp. I think Jeff and Molly have already seen some rewards from that element. The Hospital Association has jumped on board, and they're going to help aggressively. And there were several others on the call. What we talked about was connecting in various ways. Rick, as you said in the last meeting. It's kind of the low tech, not just high tech. The PSA, I think I was really pleased with some of the things that came out of the meeting. The PSA that Cox is donating, we even talked about putting a QR code in it so that people could point their phones at it and get connected to the portal immediately. We're going to the Padres and asking them to use the PSA as they try to open up the ballpark. There are a variety of ways that can be incorporated into the game day broadcast. And I think everything from the neighborhood markets association to the faith-based folk. We had a big conversation about how to connect. I spent a lot of time with the Black pastors and pastors on Point and UAMIC, and we asked for some help with the Hispanic clergy, and we're going to work with Father Sergio and others. But I think that the best thing out of the meeting was that everybody understood that there's a role for everyone to play to make sure that we are successful as a group and as a city. And I was really, really impressed with the enthusiasm that everybody enlisted. And I think Jeff, I don't know if you guys have connected with, if Tony's connected you guys with Westfield, but even Westfield Mall. Tony, Westfield Mall has said they're going to help us. And Plaza Bonita is a great location to publicize the portal, as well as North County Fair and others. And Oasis was a new one that came out. I think overall I was pleased with the meeting, and we'll send notes out with all the assignments probably this weekend. But we're off and running, Rick. We're Team Housing Commission. So
the board is the Housing Commission. And
yep, we're Team
Commission. Yeah. But when the board connects us, helps the staff to connect to the community, that makes it real. And I very much do appreciate that. And let me also point out that in addition, we're sending out postcards with information in both English and Spanish. They're going to be mailed to about 170,000 households. These are the households in the 10 city zip codes with the highest COVID-19 case rates, that also are in the areas that we've identified as signature and enterprise communities through our Choice Communities Initiative. And we will be following up with emails to about 20,000 of those households that receive the postcard, for whom we also have their email addresses. Television and radio ads in English and Spanish also will begin airing this week, or rather the week of March 15. And these will include extensive placements of ads on Spanish language radio, as recommended by several of the city council members. We're also placing ads in community newspapers, on billboards, bus benches, and buses and trolleys that serve South Bay and downtown. And these are just some examples of our outreach in this program. And I want to thank each and every one of you all for your recommendations, and for especially your working with us to do the outreach itself as we develop a comprehensive outreach effort. And I also need to do a great shout out, not only to the board, but also to Jeff Davis, Susanna Valladolid, Molly Chase, and their staffs, who have done a great job putting this together. I'm also going to ask Jeff, if you would please, to get your staff to put together a memo to where we are at this point, to transmit to the city council and mayor's office next week, which we will copy you all on as well. So we're not done, but this is I think a pretty good beginning.
Say one more thing. One of the things that with the out of the session that loved was I think we figured out there is indeed a mobile home park association that we're going to connect with, because there are a lot of people that we sometimes we forget because we think we're hitting everything and we're missing something. But I want to commend Jeff and Molly. They've been great, and I've been in 3 conversations with them. But I do see the sincerity, and that we all agree that this has to be done really, really well. It's an opportunity. I talked to the mayor yesterday. He said there might even be more money coming. And so if we don't do it really well and right with this money, it doesn't matter if more money comes. But I have a feeling that based on the meetings we've had thus far, this is going to go well. And we all promise we don't want Stephanie mad. When she gets angry, it's not pretty.
Sure. Yeah. Let's roll with that. I'm in charge.
Madam Chair, I do have 2 or 3 other items, but before that, I might stop and see if any of the board members have questions about their efforts so far.
Any questions? No? Okay. Carry on, Rick.
Also, for the commissioners, I'll draw your attention to a new handout that was among the files emailed to you yesterday. This document will be updated for each board meeting to provide you information that Commissioner Mitchell requested last month about affordable housing units. And this handout shows the total number of units currently in service in the city. You'll also see the number of units in the process of being developed. And for each board meeting, it will be updated to highlight for you the number of new affordable units at developments that are being presented to you for consideration. As the chair pointed out when we started, this is a short meeting today, and we do not have any developments on today's agenda. However, we do anticipate bringing several new projects to you in April. And this is good, important information for you to have. And I thank Commissioner Mitchell for requesting it. As I've told you all any number of times, if there's something we're doing as staff that we cannot properly describe or explain, probably shouldn't be doing it. So I would encourage you to ask questions, seek information, and we will respond to you as best we can. And this is a good example of Commissioner Mitchell asking for something that that will help you make better informed decisions.
I want to say I appreciate. I read the information. I was thrilled. And for the first one, I actually understood. For me, it's a threshold where we're starting, and I think Commissioner Akers and I came on together, and I think for us, it's knowing where we're starting and how we're making progress. The numbers are really important, and I would advise. I think for you and Jeff Davis and the team is making the city council where we're starting, so that they can see that we are making progress. A lot of projects come in front of us, and we're trying to add to the mix. And I think that's the mission. And I think we will be able to tell the story better now that we're starting with this information and getting it out. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Madam Chair, also I'd like to point out that there is a new program video in another discipline that's highlighted one of our best efforts too. And there is a unique partnership between the Housing Commission and San Diego City College. And that partnership was highlighted in a video presented at a national conference this week. City College produced this 28-minute video about the homelessness program for engaged educational resources, or PEER, or peer course. You'll recall that this course provides specialized education, training, and job placement assistance for students. This helps to develop the workforce needed for programs and services that help San Diegans experiencing homelessness. The Housing Commission helped to develop the course and funds the peer program. City College leverages existing San Diego City Community College District resources as well. The video was presented to the National Community College Innovations Conference this week, and I would encourage you to take the time to watch the video. We have posted it on the quote homelessness solutions page on our website. Again, for people listening, the website is www.sdhc.org, and it's the homelessness solutions website. And I'd like to do a shout out in particular to Lisa Jones and her folks who've worked so well with City College to help put this effort together. The video is great. The training's better. As you all know, we have a shortage of skilled workforce that work in this arena in San Diego. And we've got more prospective students now wanting this course than City College can handle at one time. So we're gradually catching up on that workforce deficit. Also, last week on February the 25th, Mayor Todd Gloria announced the expanded shelter and outreach resources to help San Diego youth experiencing homelessness. More than $548,000 in state homelessness emergency aid program funds, or HEAP funds, will enable 3 nonprofit organizations to provide these services to the homeless youth. And these 3 organizations are Urban Street Angels, San Diego Youth Services, and the San Diego LGBT Community Center. These programs will include additional beds, hotel vouchers in certain cases, and an outreach worker to prioritize LGBTQ transition age youth. The Housing Commission's Homelessness Housing Innovations Division worked closely with the city and the service providers to make these programs possible. And we also will administer the contracts for these programs. These new shelter and outreach resources also support the city's community action plan on homelessness. And again, a shout out to Lisa Jones and her people. Another good example of the ever expanding role of this agency in the homelessness arena. And in that regard, and Madam Chair, I've got 2 other very brief ones, and then I'll stop talking.
Madam Chair, before Rick leaves this point, I have a request. There's a lot of discussion around youth homelessness, and I've made this comment before. No one has actually ever defined it. And so as you're talking about this, is there a discussion at some point that can happen? I don't have to, obviously not today, but, or maybe Lisa can give us a little clarity on, shelters for homeless youth and shelters for everyone else. Because
Lisa, can you give them a 30-second elevator description of this? Lisa, are you there?
She was there a moment ago. I think we might have lost her.
That's fine. We can cover the next
We'll
meeting.
come back.
I
We'll
appreciate
come
it.
back to it. Okay. Two other brief items. One, with respect to the Housing Commission's involvement in the homelessness arena, I have been asked to provide an op-ed piece to the Union Tribune, and it will appear in Monday's edition. Was initially going to be today, but it got moved to Monday, and there are going to be at least a couple of other op-ed pieces on homelessness as well. I know Betsy Brennan from the Downtown Partnership is doing one, and I expect to see others as well. I'll make sure that you get copies before it's published so that no surprise to you on Monday. This follows some back and forth conversation between the UT and us over a couple of articles that they did on the hotel purchases in the last 2 weeks. Needless to say, there's great disagreement there. But this op-ed piece will not be a piece to justify anything the Housing Commission has done. Everything we've done can be justified, but we wanted to take an opportunity to point out all the things that this agency has done as we have grown into this arena over the past 6 or 7 years. And Mitchell will have numbers in there that will please you. So I would encourage you to look for that. And finally, a bittersweet announcement for you. 2 days ago, Angie Rosati Rios notified me that she's going to be retiring effective July the 1st. And I'm going to miss her, but she's going to play a whole lot of golf and have a whole lot of fun once she's out of here. So there'll be a chance to say our goodbyes to Angie between now and July the 1st. And she was gracious enough to give me an almost 4-month notice of her leaving. I'll point out that Angie celebrated her 20th anniversary with us last month, and we will miss her, but I feel good for her too. And I would encourage you to give her the same summer comments. So with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Yeah, commissioners, the newer ones, I'm not sure that you got to experience some of the conferences or any of that, but Angie, getting to know her has been a real highlight of my time here. And so her retirement is very well deserved. I'm looking forward to her getting to travel, hopefully all of us getting out of our houses at some point. But good for Angie, and we will miss you, but over the next 4 months, let's make sure we give her a lot of extra attention and accolades, well deserved. Thank you, Rick, for your report. The next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the special meetings of February 5th and February 19th. We didn't have any public comments submitted, but do we have a motion on these?
Motion to move.
Moved by Commissioner Hubbard, seconded by Commissioner Davis. We'll go ahead and call the roll call vote. Vice Chair Klumpner.
Aye.
Commissioner Akers.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Hester.
Aye.
Commissioner Hubbard.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. Was that an aye?
Aye.
Okay, so you're a teeny bit quiet this morning, so I just wasn't sure I caught that. Thanks.
I'm gonna go drink a Red Bull. I'll be right back.
Take it easy. I'll add my vote in favor. Motion carries unanimously. This morning, I am proposing that item 100 go on our consent agenda. This is the application for funds from the State Housing Community Development Local Housing Trust Fund. There weren't any public comments submitted. Do we have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
So
Okay,
Second.
moved by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Vice Chair Klumpner, and we're off to vote. Vice Chair Klumpner.
Aye.
Commissioner Akers.
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Hester.
Aye.
Commissioner Hubbard.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
I'll add my vote in favor. This will carry unanimously as well. Our action items. We will now be proceeding to our action items for today. The PowerPoint presentations were emailed to the commissioners yesterday, March 4th, and are also posted on our website. Our first item, 101, the procurement of property insurance coverage, did not have any public comments submitted, but we'll be hearing from the Commission's Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, Tracy McDermott, to present. Tracy, whenever you're ready.
All right.
Good morning. Is the PowerPoint up? Great. Good morning, Chair Benevenuto, Commissioners, Mr. Gentry, and Legal Counsel. I'm Tracy McDermott, Chief Financial Officer. This morning, I'm here to present you with proposed renewal of our property insurance coverage with effective dates of March 31st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Slide 2, please. Our current carrier, Public Risk Innovation Solutions and Management, also known as PRISM, is a member-directed risk-sharing pool of counties and public entities. 95% of counties and 60% of cities in California participate in this program. PRISM has provided a preliminary premium estimate of $659,000 for the upcoming policy year. Slide 3, please. The estimated $230,000 premium increase, which represents a 53% increase, directly corresponds to the 6 reasons below. First, the hardening of the insurance market. The market for insurance is cyclical. It fluctuates between the soft market, this is when the premiums hold steady or decrease, and the hard market when rates increase and coverage is harder to find. We are now seeing a hardening of insurance market as insurance companies are increasing their rates, becoming more conservative with the capacity that they deploy and reevaluating their exposures. And then second, the industry natural disasters and non-catastrophe loss experience. And this is basically related to the unprecedented natural disasters such as the wildfires. And we had the largest fire was the August complex fire on August 2020. Over 1 million acres were burned. The deadliest fire was the Camp Fire in November 2018. 85 lives were lost. And then our costliest fire was in the last 3 years. The top 5 most destructive California wildfires have occurred: the Camp Fire, the Tubbs Fire, the Woodsley Fire, the Atlas Fire, and the Thomas Fire. Total insured loss fires associated with these fires are expected to exceed $30 billion. And then with COVID-19, the pandemic, the unprecedented civil unrest, and we've had adverse loss development. This has led to the overall PRISM property program rates exceeding the loss ratio of more than 100%. The Housing Commission's claim experience is high as well. And also we added 3 hotels last year that increased our total insured value. PRISM will be providing our final premiums later this month. However, the premiums are not expected to exceed the amounts provided. Slide 4, please. The staff recommends that the San Diego Housing Commission Board take the following action: approve the procurement and binding of property insurance coverage from PRISM in the amount not to exceed $659,000 plus a 5% as a contingency reserve. Slide 5. Short and sweet. Thank you very much. This concludes the presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. We also have staff on site to answer any questions related to the properties themselves.
Commissioners, any questions, follow up?
I do.
Sure.
Madam Chair. The increase is 53%.
That is correct.
That was my question.
Yes.
Hence why we opted to not put this on consent.
Yes. All but El Cajon and Lakeside participate in this consortium in California. So every city in California participates in this consortium of property insurance. And as I mentioned, all those fires, all those losses, eventually the insurance has to recoup those losses. The claims have exceeded the premiums. So the whole consortium has to start paying back those losses.
I think we can appreciate the doozy that was the news cycle last year. And I Commissioner Mitchell probably still has some PTSD from a lot of that, but I think we're going to continue to see a series of things that are right sizing as the state grapples with the natural disasters that we just cannot seem to quite get our arms around just yet. Bad news generally, but is it, any other questions, feedback?
I'll just chime in on this. That you hit the nail on the head. We're going to continue to see this. When I saw this in the presentation, the 53% increase. Well, it's starting to hit everyone. Just for point of context for my fellow commissioners, in 2007, 2008, we were paying about 9 million for about 9 million, 10 million for a $1 billion policy. Today we're paying over 100 million for a $1 billion policy. And Moody's has told the states that they're going to start judging cities, not just the states, based on how they're adapting to climate change, and they're going to increase the risk for those things. And so, as the chairwoman said, you're going to start to see some rights, and it's going to be painful. And people that never thought they'd have to adjust to this, state of Texas, for example, winters actually do happen in Texas, and they found that out.
Yeah.
So you're going to start to see these things happen all over.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, another clarification for Tracy. Tracy, I think I heard you say we also added coverage for housing, like when for
We acquired the 3 hotels last year, so we had to add, and that added our insured value. So that increased our cost as well. So the 2 hotels with the permanent supportive housing, and then the Hillcrest as well. So we added to our portfolio. So we had to increase our costs naturally by adding to our portfolio.
Right. Thank you. That's I'm good.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion or any follow-up questions?
So moved.
I'll second,
Second.
Madam Chair.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Klempner, and then Commissioner Hester got there first, so we'll move through the vote. Vice Chair Klempner.
Aye.
Commissioner Akers.
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Hester.
Aye.
Commissioner Hubbard.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
I'll add my vote in favor. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tracy. Our next item is 102, an informational workshop about the Housing Commission's property management and asset management. We didn't have any public comments submitted, and we'll be hearing from the Vice President of Asset Management, Emmanuel Ariano, and Vice President of Property Management, Jennifer McKinney. So whenever you're ready.
Sure. Good morning. Let me just adjust my screen here. Good morning, Chair Benvenuto, Commissioners, Mr. Gentry and Mr. Christensen. My name is Emmanuel Arellano, Vice President of Asset Management. With us today is Jennifer McKinney, Vice President of Property Management. This morning, we have the pleasure to provide you with a presentation on the real estate portfolio, asset management, and property management operations. Next slide, please. Thank you. The Housing Commission's mission is to provide affordable, safe, and quality homes for low and moderate income families and individuals in the city of San Diego. As of today, the real estate portfolio is made up of 4,115 rental housing units owned and or managed by the Housing Commission and its nonprofit affiliate, Housing Development Partners, or HDP. Next slide. The portfolio is a diverse one, made up of different types of multifamily real estate assets, from duplexes to large properties, permanent supportive housing and single-room occupancy buildings, ground leases, commercial spaces, single-family dwellings, and public housing. Next slide, please. The 4,115 housing units are scattered among 173 different locations. Within the portfolio, we have properties that have single-room occupancy units and anywhere between 1 to 5 bedroom units. As you can see on this slide, the majority of the portfolio is composed of SROs, single-room occupancy, 1 and 2 bedroom units, which represent in total about 79% of the portfolio. There are different programs that these properties are part of, including the public housing program, low-income housing tax credits, housing voucher program, and move to work. Approximately about half of the residents within the Housing Commission's portfolio are housing choice voucher holders. Most of these properties are restricted at 80% of the area median income, which translates to a family of four making no more than $92,400 a year. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Emmanuel, and good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Gentry, and Council. This slide represents just how geographically vast the portfolio is, spanning as far north as Del Mar, south to San Ysidro, east to the La Mesa border, and west to the beach communities of Ocean and Pacific Beach, all within the San Diego city limits. The properties cover a 300 square mile territory, and this scattered site structure presents unique challenges with regard to oversight and maintenance of these properties. We have, however, centralized operations into 4 regions, each with its own hub office or command central. By the way, this interactive Google Earth map can be found at our agency website at sdhc.org. We're excited to take you now on a virtual property tour. Next slide, please. Many of you will recognize this property, the Hotel Churchill, located just a block over from Smart Corner on the corner of 9th and C Street. The Housing Commission and Housing Development Partners partnered to renovate the historic Hotel Churchill to create 72 affordable studios for homeless individuals. And this project was among the 5 components of Housing First San Diego, the Housing Commission's 3-year homelessness action plan to create additional affordable housing with supportive services. This project set aside 56 units for homeless veterans, 8 units for youth aging out of foster care system, and 8 units for homeless adults who also need supportive services. The Hotel Churchill includes on-site social services and case management for residents. The project has garnered several awards in recent years, including the Ruby Award in 2017 for Housing Project of the Year for rehabilitation, and also an Orchid Award in 2018 for historic preservation. Next slide, please. The Housing Commission also owns and operates a small family community comprised of 3 and 4 bedrooms in La Jolla. La Jolla Marine is an 8-unit community that underwent a comprehensive rehabilitation in 2018 and 19, led by the Housing Commission's very own internal development service team. Each of the 8 townhomes is subsidized with a project-based Section 8 housing assistance payment voucher. Next slide, please. Across town from La Jolla Marine is Otay Villas, a 78-unit community in South San Diego. It is a family community that is part of the Housing Commission's public housing portfolio. This property was also rehabilitated, although using capital fund grants from HUD, a project that was also overseen by the Housing Commission's Development Service Group. Next slide.
Thank you, Jennifer. San Diego Square is an HDP 156-unit property in the downtown area, just a block west from the Smart Corner building in Council District 3. It is a seniors-only property, 62 and above, and offers resident services that are provided by serving seniors. San Diego Square is a project-based voucher property, meaning all residents at the property benefit from the rental assistance program. Next slide. Also an HDP asset, Town and Country is a 145-unit property for families in the Mountain View neighborhood. The property has 2 and 3 bedroom units. I should mention that both San Diego Square and Town and Country underwent a comprehensive rehab just a few years ago that was led by HDP's development group. Next slide, please. University Canyon is a Housing Commission property in Linda Vista for families with different unit types, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. At this property, we have both affordable and public housing units. Also, a comprehensive renovation of this property was completed a couple years ago. This renovation was led by the Commission's development group. Next slide.
As mentioned, the operations team is set up in a regional format. There are main hub offices in each of the 4 regions in the city and a few smaller leasing offices peppered throughout the portfolio. For example, Maya Linda Apartments, located in Mira Mesa with 132 units, has a dedicated on-site manager with an on-site leasing office. In total, there are 15 teams operating within the Housing Commission's in-house property management group, which I'll dive into on the next slide. Housing Development Partners utilizes several third-party management firms that function much in the same way. Next slide. This slide depicts what a typical regional organizational structure looks like and helps paint the picture of how important the alignment and relationship between asset and property management is. You can see the integration at the higher management levels, which are calibrated to give the right level of support, guidance, and direction to the frontline staff. We want to ensure the goals and objectives for the Housing Commission are achieved, and that is a team effort. This structure mimics what exists in the private sector. You can also see that within the regional layer, there are additional hands on deck, such as a maintenance coordinator who helps oversee complex projects, vendor management, and quality assurance. Also, client-facing office support and site cleaners help round out the team. Next slide, please.
Oftentimes, the roles of asset management and property management groups are confused because we work so closely with each other. Asset management acts as the owner's representative and is concerned with the property's long-term financial, physical, and operational stability of the real estate assets. In turn, property management is in charge of the day-to-day operations through property administration, maintenance activities, and enforcement of lease and house rules. Next slide, please. There is crossover and overlap with both of our roles. For example, property management is in charge of the budget creation, whereas asset management reviews, approves, and provides oversight of the budget. Asset management will have routine interactions with stakeholders, including lenders, investors, and regulatory agencies. Property management has routine interactions with residents and vendors, collects rent, and enforces the lease. Asset management is responsible for the long-term capital and preservation of the real estate portfolio, whereas property management establishes maintenance schedules for unit turnover and preventative maintenance. Asset management is responsible for contract management, procuring all the services and vendor contracts property management utilizes. Property management provides oversight of the work performed and is responsible for vendor management. Both groups work jointly on annual audits, setting goals based on key performance indicators and compliance reporting. As Jennifer mentioned, on those properties that are managed by a third-party property management company, which is the entire HDP portfolio and a few recently acquired Housing Commission properties, asset management oversees the performance and operations of these management companies. Next slide, please. To elaborate a little bit more about the fun world of asset management develops and implements the long-term strategies for the preservation and operations of the Commission's real estate portfolio, which is one of the agency's strategic goals. As mentioned earlier, we are deeply involved with the operations budget and conduct routine financial reviews. We enjoy telling a property story by reviewing its financial performance and identifying any trends. We're also involved in the capital planning for the preservation of these assets, largely based on physical needs assessments or P&As, routine site and unit inspections, as well as feedback from on-site staff. Alongside the fiscal group, asset management oversees the insurance policies of the portfolio and handles any insurance claims for and against the real estate assets, such as an insurance claim for remediation given an incident at the property, like fire or a water leak, or a resident submitting a claim against the property for a malfunctioning refrigerator. On those properties where resident services are offered, mainly the permanent supportive housing and senior properties, asset management works hand in hand with the service provider and oversees their contract. Next slide.
So what does the property management staff do on an average day? The property managers may get a call from a prospect in the morning and are virtually showing them a vacant apartment by early afternoon. They may then call a resident regarding a reported maintenance issue, followed by the coordination of work with a third-party vendor. They may then switch gears yet again and turn their attention to budget preparation. By the way, each of the 173 properties each have their own individual operating budget. Regional managers on staff help shape policy and procedures and ensure program compliance. Office assistants accept work orders by phone and may help prepare notices of an upcoming inspection. The maintenance team is busy painting recently vacated units and also ensuring building systems and components, both inside and out, remain in operable condition through preventive maintenance inspections. Our team also oversees the corporate headquarters that is home to the Housing Commission's most valuable asset, staff. Every day is very different from the one before, and we are never really closed, which is a difficult business model to live by. Next slide, please. Real estate operations takes great pride in the work we do and our service to residents in the community. Everyone on the team is inspired by the Housing Commission's mission. We truly are about people, holding this in the highest regard and striving to meet the agency's double bottom line objectives day in and out. This concludes our presentation. Emmanuel and I are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Commissioner questions or comments? Okay, we've got a quiet bunch. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Very
just one-
thorough. Commissioner Mitchell.
Just one quick question, and I won't delay this, but I was looking at when they put the list of what the units were in the 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. I'm assuming that the biggest request we get is for 2 bedroom units. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. 2 bedrooms are probably the most desirable. Yes.
Okay. Rick, I know you had some comments.
Just a little bit of further background and context for the board members. Since none of you were around when I was recruited to come here 13 years ago, this is my background. This is what I did before I became a CEO. It was property management and asset management. The difference between the two is property management is day-to-day operations. Asset management is looking over the shoulders to make sure that the value is managed going into the future and you don't wind up with surprises down the road. And it's when I was hired to come in here, I was hired, one of my chores was to reestablish our real estate system here on good, solid private sector real estate standards. And that's not just the new stuff we bring in, but the stuff we operate. And as I like to say to my development folks, chagrin, developing this stuff's easy. Keeping it operating for decades in the future, that's the hard part. And I will tell you that unlike, and for the newbies among you, you'll hear this when you start going to some of the professional association meetings. Our housing stock here is in very good condition compared to almost all of the rest of the national industry. We have no legacy issues with big, massive projects. We have no issues with massive backlogs of dire work that has to be done. And I just tell you to Google the New York City Housing Authority or Chicago or even as close as LA to see what that can be like. I'll also point out that when we set this up, we recruited new staff. Emmanuel actually came as an intern some years ago, and we kept him and grew him and raised him. And he's one of our best leaders now. Jennifer, as I recall, we recruited her from Kansas City, as I recall, some years ago. And we installed a professional management culture at the Housing Commission. And this is one of those areas where it's not terribly sexy. You don't have these big ribbon cuttings or groundbreakings, or you only get noticed when you screw up, typically when you're in this side of the industry. And you will find an absence, or at least a reduced number of screw ups on this arena for us in the last few years. There are only two other agencies. There's only one other agency in the country I'm aware of that has the guts to Google Map his entire portfolio on the web, and that's King County, Washington, and they're a suburban agency, not a city agency. So, and my long-winded point is our stock's in good shape. There's nothing out there that will cause you any heartburn, and we're continuing to keep it in good shape into the future. I'll finish by saying we also, some years ago, I'm thinking it's about 3 to 4 years ago, following one of our most recent strategic planning efforts, we set in motion a green upgrade program. Emmanuel, I know I'm mangling the way I'm describing that, but we set aside funds and we targeted properties in the degree of need to make sure we have rolling upgrades and rehabs to keep our properties habitable and in good, solid shape going well into the future. And every one of these properties is an asset to its community, as are these two new hotels. And I'd rather have something that has some money invested in it and as an asset to our customers and to the community than to try to cheap it with inadequate stock. And you all should feel very comfortable that every piece of stock that we have in this agency is in good shape. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any follow-up to that, commissioners? Thank you both for the presentation. I think the sheer volume of what you do is incredible, but I do appreciate all the work that you put into making sure that our clients are housed safely and comfortably and given that opportunity. This was an informational item. There is no action required, but we do have closed session. So the Housing Commission, unless there's any final comments, will now convene into closed session.
Yes, the San Diego Housing Commission will now consider its closed session agenda as posted on the website and in the special meeting agenda.